Welcome to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, a platform where we have invited Spirit to share messages, healings, and transmissions with all of us. May this energetic experience help us to expand our awareness and to deepen the relationship we have with our higher self, our spiritual team, and with Source, however we define them. Thank you for being here and for taking part in this amazing journey. Hello and welcome back to the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit, Season 5, Episode 8, with me. I'm the speaker today. So this is Daniel Martinez Stahl. As all of you know, I was going to say both of you, but as all of you know, I am the host of this platform. So you all know who I am. You're familiar with me. So the session today is going to be really interesting because I honestly have no idea what is going to come out. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit why I chose the topic that I chose, but a lot of this is going to be, let me just kind of turn it over to you guys, for you guys to ask questions about the edges of your understanding, to see if there's something that we can have a conversation about that might allow you to kind of expand a little bit beyond that. So that's kind of where I'm leaning, if you guys are okay with that. So of course, those of you that are with me live, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Feel free to, raise your hand, put questions in the comments, feedback in the comments, whatever you guys like. So what is my topic for today? I chose excited to play with the energy of all that is. So last season, I found it really interesting that the topic to talk about didn't become clear to me until like the night before. And this season, I've just been really struggling with, I just want to do kind of a Q&A session. And nothing else has really been kind of popping up. But I did want to talk about getting excited about feeling excitement, or feeling excitement about getting excited. Loving the fact that you experience love. Experience what it feels like to love loving. Enjoy the happiness that comes from being happy. Become passionate about getting passionate. And so this is something that Sarah Landon and the council shared with us probably about a month or two ago. And it really kind of resonated with me. It stuck with me. I held on to it for a while, and I started realizing that, and I shared this with people in my membership community, it would come up. I would talk about, let me talk to you about what I'm really excited about. Apart from the fact that I love these conversations. And so this is one of the things that I've really learned to recognize and really appreciate is I love these conversations. I love having the conversations that I do with the members in my community. I love the conversations that I have with the speakers and with you guys in these platforms. I love the conversations that I have with Spirit when I'm working with somebody and we're exploring a past life or an alternate life and in between lives, or even just a meet the team journey. I've had a lot of those lately where a good percentage of the people that I've worked with have really just gone there to meet their team. And of course, it's always different. And so it's a lot of fun to play with Spirit and to have conversations with Spirit. I love learning to channel. I love listening to my friends in my practice group that are channeling. And I love having conversations with our spirit friends that are coming to share things with us through my friends. I really enjoy that. Like, I love it. It's amazing. It's a great experience. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about what really excites me beyond and above everything else, is the idea that I am going to be at a point where I can create in the absolute knowing that I am the energy that creates everything that is. That fires me up. That excites me. It's amazing to think about, what am I going to be able to create knowing that I can create anything, that I'm limitless, that there's no resistance. There's no limitation that I'm imposing on myself that prevents me from accomplishing and experiencing whatever it is that I desire to experience, whatever it is that I desire to create. That is so incredible to me. That is so amazing for me to think about, to play with. That future is where we are all going into, which is really exciting. And there's an element of gratitude and appreciation and humility associated with knowing that I am a part of the change that the world is going through. That's something else that, could you repeat that? I am. What am I repeating, Bev? Sorry. where did you lose me? Did I freeze up or what happened? I am all there is that I am creating. Yeah, so can I repeat that? Okay, so how would I say this again? I don't know exactly what I said, but I know more or less what I was talking about. So one of the things that I get really excited about is to think about what I'm becoming, to get to a point of knowing, absolute knowing, that I already am that which I am becoming, to recognize and live my life day to day with an absolute knowing that I am the energy that creates everything that is. I am the energy of the universe. An absolute knowing that the universe is using me as a conduit for abundance. All kinds of abundance: financial, relationship, professional, personal, nature, everything, collaborations, communications, calm, ease, peace. Everything is abundant. Everything is available. Living a life knowing that that is not only possible, but knowing that that's who you are, is amazing to think about for me. I always talk about how I'm not there yet and I'm pointing myself in that direction. And something that the council said to us not too long ago, which really resonated with me, was the journey is to go nowhere. The journey is to go now, here. That floored me when I first heard it. I was like, oh my gosh, that is just so powerful. I start more and more, I start recognizing what it means when people say everything happens in the now. Your connection to source, your ability to create from a knowing of all that is, your space where miracles happen instantly before you even realize that you need anything or want anything. All of that space happens in the now. And I'm beginning to recognize what that is. It's not just an intellectual exercise. I'm beginning to recognize it. And that statement, the journey is not, no, the journey is going nowhere. The journey is going now, here, helped me to flip that switch a little bit more. It helped me to connect with what that means to be present in the moment, to be fully present. there's a lot of language that I still use that talks about I'm still living for my savings. I don't really have a lot of clients. I have a very small membership community. There's a lot of language that I'm still using around that. And Abraham Hicks today in the daily quote talked about how don't talk about how things are. Talk about how you want them to be. And it's interesting because the reason that I talk about how things are with you guys is because I want you to know that I'm with you too. I'm on this journey too. What I am accomplishing in my own life is accessible for you. You know, we just had a conversation with Alex in the last session about money, finances, building a business with integrity and aligned with the idea that abundance is not limiting. It's not limited. And it occurred to me that, it popped in my head in between the last session and this session that part of my journey of stepping fully into financial abundance is a journey that's going to bring all of you along with me so that I can talk to you about how I accomplished it, what my thinking was, what my thinking is, what I'm pointing myself towards, the ideas that I am focusing on that I recognize are creating elements of resistance and limitation. And so there's an element where part of my journey is to show you guys that what I am accomplishing, you can accomplish too. And part of my financial journey seems to be linked to a similar path. Now, I have no doubt that I am going to be, quote unquote, financially abundant. I already am. Like I was mentioning earlier, if I was asked if I have everything that I need right now to live the life that I'm living right now, and yes, I do. I absolutely do, and more. So am I not already abundant? Yes, I absolutely am. Do I have millions in my bank account? No. Am I making 6-7 figures a year? No. Do I need to be making 6-7 figures a year right now? No. Will I make 6-7 figures a year at some point? I'm sure I will. But it's not because of the money aspect. Like, it's not the desire and the drive and the opportunity isn't, I want to make a 7-figure annual salary. I could care less about that. I want to live fully abundant, whatever that means. And our society is still pressing on us in different ideas and beliefs of what that means, and definitions of money and wealth and finances and health and relationships and all of these other areas. And part of our stepping into our sovereignty, which is a conversation I had with Kristen yesterday, is in recognizing that there are no limitations. There is nothing holding us back. Beyond and besides the innocent perceptual limitations that we've created for ourselves. The stories that we're telling ourselves about why we can't have, or why we shouldn't have, or why it's difficult to have the things that we want to accomplish in life, the kind of life that we want to have. And so I keep on pointing myself in that direction. Do I feel like I'm there yet? No. Now, here's the beauty of it. Will I recognize it when I get there? Probably not. Because my mind is always desiring more than I already have. There's always more to experience. And so it's really nice to be asked the question. If you ask yourself right now, do you have everything you need right now? Yes, I do. So are you not already abundant? And if there's an area where you would like more, in whatever area of your life that is, beautiful. That's what life's about. Life is here to show us that we can create anything that we want to create, and to create from that space of knowing that anything and everything is possible. Now, the other day, Spirit, I forget who was channeling, and I like giving credit, but unfortunately I can't because I don't know who it was. I don't remember who it was. Spirit was talking about how when we're not clear about what we want, life, the universe, will create situations of contrast. It will show us things that we don't want to help us better identify what it is that we do want. And where many of us get trapped, myself included at times, is in focusing on the things that we don't want. And what I always talk about is the contrast is there to show us what we do want, so that we can focus on what we want to create, what we want to accomplish, what we want to bring into our life, what we want our life to be, and to let go of the contrast, to appreciate the contrast for allowing us to recognize what it is that we want, to become passionate about what we want. You know, I love my car. I do. I've got a really nice BMW. It's not, you know, top of the line, but it's got enough power for me. It's got all of the features that I want. You know, I could be perfectly happy with this car for the rest of my life. Would I like a car that has a little bit more power? Sure. Would I like a car that has a couple other, more modern features? Sure. But I'm perfectly happy with what I have. And I'm really, really happy with it. I love my car. Now, my dream car has always been a Porsche. I love Porsches. I like the way they look. I like the idea of what they represent, the excellence that they represent, the passion that they represent. Now, there's niggles within the Porsche that I don't like. There's 5 dials on the dashboard, which is a traditional design for the Porsche, and the engineers, being respectful of the heritage, have kept the 5 dials, which I just think is ridiculous, because when you look at the 5 dials, the steering wheel covers the dial 1 and the dial 5. It's just, I put my hands on the steering wheel and I can't see the dials. I've got to move my head around my hands to see what the dials say. And that's just stupid. That's holding on to history in a way that just doesn't make sense to me. Now, my car has a heads-up display. I'm tall enough and I've got a long neck and probably a longer torso. So in most cars, I can't see the speedometer. The steering wheel blocks my ability to see what speed I'm going. And so I'm always having to kind of dip under the steering wheel to see the speed. My car has a heads-up display. Oh my God. It is so amazing to be able to see how fast I'm going right on my windscreen. Absolutely love that. I will never have a car that doesn't have that again. So the Porsche, and it has to be a 911. Porsche has it on other models. I don't care about the other models. I like the 2-door. I want 4-wheel drive. There are other models that are 2 doors, don't offer 4-wheel drive. I want 4-wheel drive. I want 2 doors, and I want a heads-up display. So I am creating a 911 with what it is that I want. It's not available right now, but I'm not in a position where I would want to buy it right now anyway. So these are the things that I'm doing, and I'm using this as an example of, I know what it is that I want, and so I'm focusing on what it is that I want. And this is applicable to my business, to working with people, to my relationship with my mother, which I talk about all the time, because that's an incredible mirror to kind of show me there's still room for me to grow. There's still room for me to improve and to expand my understanding. So I love my mom to pieces, and I always have. We have an incredible, tight relationship, physically and spiritually. And the last number of years have been difficult for both of us. And so I'm really excited and looking forward to having that shift, hopefully before she dies. But I know that it's okay if not, because, you know, everything serves its purpose and everything has its reason. And I will always have a deep relationship with her. And I'm sure I'll continue to have that deep relationship with her even after she passes. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about getting excited about being excited. You know, figure out what it is that you enjoy doing and recognize the joy that you feel within that. When you appreciate something, appreciate the fact that you're appreciating it. Appreciate the appreciation. And so there's this kind of like double barrel aspect of taking our experience of life to the next level. I love the other day with Joe, I was talking about how Joe was someone that spoke yesterday. For those of you that don't know, Joe Monkman. We were talking about, somehow it came up. One of the things that I learned in the Three Principles community, which I became obsessed with in 2013, it's an incredible description of life. Very easy, very accessible, very powerful. And it's a great platform, conversation, description, language that allows my spirit and my human to communicate, to support each other, which I talk about all the time. Within that conversation, one of the things that is talked about is recognizing our humanity, recognizing the reality of what it means to be human, and to be okay with that, as opposed to judging ourselves for being human. And the way that that comes out is the way that I interpreted that. Let me be more clean with my language. The way that I interpreted that is that it's normal within my human conditioning and my human experience to have ups and downs. So it's normal and natural for me to have my good days and to have my bad days, which means that I'm going to be angry and depressed and sad and impatient and frustrated at times, and I'm going to be happy and excited and at ease and at peace and compassionate at other times. And that's a natural part of my human experience. So that when I'm in those more dense experiences, those less pleasurable experiences, I don't judge myself for them, which is huge. And I recognize that. And I talk about the council a lot. I love the council. I cannot speak of them highly enough. I love their message. I love their perspective. I love their point of view. I love what they share and how they share it. It really resonates with me. And so I use a lot of the things that I remember from what they say, what awakens in me listening to what they're saying, what they're helping me remember. So one of the things that I really loved hearing from them is that, yes, we're still going to have fluctuations being human. We're going to have our good days and our bad days. But that range is going to be different than what we have been accustomed to. That range is going to go from peace and calm and ease and tranquility to excitement, happiness, joy, passion. Back to peace, ease, calm. Back to excitement, joy, happiness. And so that's really exciting to me, because it's natural for our human to have fluctuations, but it isn't necessary for our human to fluctuate into states that don't feel good. I love that possibility. Again, I don't feel like I'm there yet, but I recognize it more and more. I see myself there more and more. And I'm bringing this up because a lot of us have come across descriptions and definitions of what it means to be human. And in many cases, they're linked with limitations. The other day, I was in a conversation with someone who was talking about how she recognizes that we are powerful beyond measure, but in order to get there, she needs to work out her issues, her traumas, her dramas, ... So as much as she knows that she is limitless and powerful beyond measure, she's innocently creating this limitation that prevents her from living from there because she believes that she's got to work through her traumas, her dramas, her psychological baggage, her, childhood issues, how her parents treated her, how her partners treated her, so there's all of this limitation that she's innocently imposing upon herself. And partly it's because this is what she's been told from society and years and parents and friends and teachers even will say this. And so I love looking in the direction of there are no limitations, which is one of the reasons that I love listening to Sarah Landon and the council, because they will very upfront say that they will not talk about limitations. They don't. And I really, really appreciate that. It reminds me that I don't have limitations other than the innocently self-imposed ones that I'm still believing to be true, the stories that I'm still telling myself that I haven't learned to let go of yet. But I love the reminder that there are no limitations. And I love being in conversation where that is the topic and subject of conversation. And so this is what I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about, is I'm excited about what we are becoming. It is incredible for me to think about the fact that I have the honor of being here exactly in the moment where our incredible Earth is transitioning into a new experience. And we are along that ride because we are part of her. It is such an honor to be literally alive for that experience. The next generation is going to be also involved in this transition, but they wouldn't have been alive at that point when it flipped from one to the other. They wouldn't have been alive in that buildup of the old energy that then transitions into the new energy. Now, of course, they're here to help continue with that transition. But it's amazing to think about the fact that we are all currently alive, literally in the middle of that transition. That's amazing for me to think about. And it's humbling to think about. That I, as a soul, as a spirit, as an entity, was given the ability and the right to play an integral role in that transition is humbling. It's powerful. It's amazing to think about, to feel. So that's kind of like what I wanted to share with you guys. And so I've got nothing else. So this conversation can end now. Or if you guys have questions or comments, or if you guys want to talk about anything that is kind of at the edges of your own understanding that you would like to kind of bring up and chat about and see where we go from there, I would love for you guys to interact. Emil, yeah. Feel free to unmute yourself.
I can't see anyone. Everybody's, you know, blackened off with just their names. But and I can't see me, which doesn't matter because I know what I look like. So, but I'm very interested in what you said. I really have a lot in agreement with it, but I still have my stuff, you know. And just last night, I had, like I said earlier, I had a really bad day. And when I go bad, I go so low that you know, I'd rather be in, you know, the other world over the veil than here, because I know how beautiful it is when we meet that you know, spirit self of us, which is all spirit. So you know, I just there was something in the words of somewhere it came up that you know, no one's ever whispered, you know, like sweet nothings almost in my ear. And I guess I was thinking about a relationship that I'm not in. And all of a sudden, the ocean, and I love the ocean is my favorite place. And space, it's, you know, where I can, you know, whisper and hear the ocean, and actually heard the whispers of the waves rolling at the shore in that. And I was like, oh, thank you, Spirit. You answered my prayer, you know,
Beautiful.
about, yeah. So, you know, there are times when I can immediately be in the transition of that and the moment of it. And then there's it's like a dichotomy for me. And, you know, that's my sign, Pisces. It's either going up or swimming down, you know, the two fish in opposite directions. Not that I hold fully into astrology. I mean, it's a guide, but I'm very true to nature to a lot of, you know, the Enneagram, the, you know, all of that. And it does make up part of who we are, you know, and then there are differences, of course. But anyway, so we're in the age of Aquarius. It's absolutely here, and we're ascending. And it's the golden age. It's a beautiful time. You're absolutely right. We are blessed. And, you know, we have absolutely the right to be here because we're ready for it. You know, it is humbling and it is special, but we're absolutely gotten the right from all the, if you believe, all the other lives that we've accumulated and the experience we've accumulated. We're in a perfect setting to be here now. That's what I think, you know,
Yeah,
about it. I believe
absolutely.
we are. Yeah. So I
Is
don't
it
know if I'm saying anything new, but it's just
is
it
it
is something.
okay? Is it okay if I put you on video? Is that all right? Or would you rather
Oh,
not be?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just so
sure.
people can kind of, you know, see our conversation.
Surely. Yeah, I
So
have no
let
problem
me
with
let
that.
me bring you
Oh, there
in.
I
So,
am.
okay. Okay, so there's a couple things that I would love to kind of expand on what you said, if that's okay.
Surely.
When things go dark for me, things go really dark.
Yes.
And I'm using my own language. I don't remember exactly what words you
No,
used,
no.
but you know what I mean,
That's
right?
a good, that's, it's like a black hole, you know.
So part of this is the language that you're using is inviting you to continue that pattern.
Yes, I'm thinking
Does
so.
that make sense? So
Yes, I'm thinking so. You're
that's the first
absolutely right.
thing. So
Mhm.
let me give you what I have learned about my journey and about how things work to give
Okay.
you a way out of that pattern.
Yes.
I love logic and I love things that give my human something to hold on to change the way that my human has been experiencing life. So our emotions are a roadmap that are there to show us where we are.
Uh-huh.
Our
I believe that.
emotions are telling us this is the quality of thinking that you are paying attention to.
So I'm putting emphasis on it more than I really need to.
So so let me kind of back up a little bit. And I know that people will argue with this and they'll disagree with what I'm about to say, and I don't want to necessarily get into that, but
No, I'm open.
Your emotions are a reflection of the thoughts that you are paying attention to consciously and unconsciously. They are a reflection of the thoughts that are being given importance and meaning, again, consciously and unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
We get, I don't know the specifics of the details of how it is that our moods fluctuate, but I can tell you that when my body is exposed to certain energies, there are models that I have created over lifetimes, and over this lifetime, if you want to just be specific on this lifetime, there are models that I have created that tell my body, when this happens, respond this way.
Yeah.
And so it's an instant trigger. It happens without my conscious awareness, and instantly I feel X when this happens.
Right.
And sometimes it happens so quickly that I say, there was no thought involved. This is just an emotional reaction to that situation.
It just washes over you.
Right.
It washed over me. I can't even, I'm trying to pinpoint where I took that slide into that hole, but so, I can't even.
You don't need to. You don't need to pinpoint it.
I was trying to reflect upon it, you know.
Here's the thing. For me, knowing how the system works is enough for me to know that it's easy for me to get out of it, as easy it is for me to get into it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't need to know I don't need to know what model it is that I created in my brain that says, when this happens, this is how I'm going to respond. So I had a powerful insight that came to me as I was learning about this, when my girlfriend and I were in a conversation and we had agreed to something and she didn't follow our agreement, and I felt betrayed. I felt like I had been cheated of what we had agreed to. And it was a game, and it was silly. It was just a game that we had agreed to kind of play within ourselves, between ourselves. And she kind of changed the rules on me that were not in line with the rules that we had set for this game. And so I felt hurt, and I started crying, and I was sharing this with her. I wanted her to know how I was feeling. And all of a sudden I had this thought in my head, and I went, hold on a second, let me back up a second. If I am living the experience of my thinking and not living the experience of my circumstances, that must mean that I'm not responding to what she did or didn't do, and I'm responding to something within my neurology where I have a model built that says, when this happens, this is how you're going to feel.
Right.
And instantly I went, holy shit, this has nothing to do with her. And instantly, I realized that I was responding to, quote unquote, a model that was created by thought, that was planted in my brain, in my memory, in my data banks, that my human uses as a reference to live life more easily, which is what our human does. Our human creates models so that when it sees a chair, it knows what a chair is and doesn't have to recognize a chair every single time. So our human is designed to create models of recognition so that it can live life more easily, more efficiently, more effectively. And so we do the same thing with our relationships and our interactions. We create models where our human is going to create associations and relationships. And I'm kind of overcomplicating this. What I'm trying to get to is...
not. I'm absolutely understanding it. Yeah.
The point of this is to recognize two things. When you get triggered, be patient with yourself, be compassionate of yourself.
Yeah.
And recognize that you're innocently reacting to some model that's created in your data banks, that's associated with some story and meaning and importance that you're attaching to it.
Yeah. exactly. I understand that whole
Now,
concept.
now here's the thing that for me was really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
How I respond in a situation is dependent on my quality of mind.
Mm-hmm.
How I
Well,
respond in any situation is dependent on the level of consciousness that I'm playing at that moment.
right,
How I respond to any trigger is going to vary depending on whether or not I'm in a good mood or a bad mood.
right.
Right.
Hmm.
And now what really kind of blew my mind was when I realized, when I questioned, when I reflected on and realized, if I'm in a good mood and I have this response, and I'm in a bad mood and have this response, which one is real?
The good response.
Why?
I don't,
Why?
because we should honor that more. So,
Why?
you know, we should, only appreciate the good, and take the bad away and out of our minds. But in that moment, it's like, well, can I give you a little bit of background?
Can I
I don't
stop
want
you
to change.
first?
Yes,
Can I
please
stop you for a
finish.
second?
Yes, the trigger, the compassion, and
No.
you're gonna.
I want to address the last thing that you just said.
Okay.
We should focus on the good and put the bad aside or put it away. I
Yes.
absolutely disagree with that
Oh,
100%.
you do?
Absolutely
So
disagree
we
with
should
that
consciously be aware
vehemently.
of it.
Vehemently disagree with it. And I'll
Oh,
tell you why. Ready?
yes.
You're human and you're going to
Yeah.
have both experiences, and neither of them is better or worse. They are just two different experiences.
Yeah.
Now, here's where the conversation then leads into what you were talking about.
Okay.
Our good feeling states will tell us that we're aligned. Our bad feeling states tell us that we are in resistance to all that is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's no judgment to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no judgment in it. It is just a reflection of where we are. Now, our emotions are beautiful representations to show us and guide us when we are experiencing something that doesn't feel good. It's like a little flag that says you're using your thinking in a way that isn't helping you.
Yeah.
You are focusing on thoughts that are not helping you. And
No.
I'm here to let you know that because I'm making you feel
Yes.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
So the bad feelings are in fact more valuable than the good ones, because the bad ones are a warning that's trying to get us to change the way that we're experiencing our life.
Right. To change the patterns and the habits that make us go there.
To wake up to the fact that we're innocently misusing the gift of thought.
Yes. Okay.
That we're innocently misusing the gift of thought. And so part of this conversation is recognizing that what you are experiencing is the shadow of your thinking and your thoughts. And then there's a discussion of what is thought, what is thinking. And
Mm-hmm.
I can go there later, but I don't want to
Yeah.
confuse this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Your emotions are a shadow of the thought or thinking that is happening in your mind right now. And so when we have bad feeling emotions, similar to the power of attraction.
Yes.
The contrast is there to let us know what it is that we want by showing us what we don't want.
Right.
But the power of it isn't in focusing on what we don't want, but focusing on what we do want.
Mm-hmm.
And so our emotions have a similar role within our psychology.
Right.
Our bad feeling emotions are there to let us know, wait, stop the way that you're thinking right now.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't feel good.
No.
So just stop.
Right.
Take a breath, get present in the moment, take 3 conscious breaths, connect to your power, and you will notice that everything changes.
Right.
Even if it's just by a little tiny bit, everything changes.
Right.
Which begins to show you and give you evidence that
it gives flow begins again. Right.
Yes. And it gives you the evidence that you are the one that has the power to change your mood and change your state of mind. You can influence it. Now, I'll tell you, when I'm in a shitty mood, I can't always get out of it quickly. But I can tell you that I can shift it from being a 10 shitty to a 9 shitty.
9, or even a 7
or
5.
even a 7. And I know that if I can do that, then with a little bit more time, I can then make it a 6 or a 5.
Yeah,
and then a 4.
To know what works for each individual to make you raise the consciousness and the vibration again, right?
Now, here's where the beauty of it is. Ready? There's nothing you need to do because your default state is already a high state of being. What is helpful is when you allow yourself to get out of the way, to allow that natural state of being to start shining through again. So this is where a lot of people will talk about quiet your mind, stop the thinking, get out of your own way. But then what people innocently do is they say, oh, I need to do a technique or an exercise to feel better.
Right.
And
well, like music.
And sometimes it is playing music, and sometimes it's going for a walk, and sometimes it's having something to eat, sometimes it's calling a friend. And so there's different things that we can do to kind of change the noise in our head, to alter the pattern that we're kind of falling into. But what it's all pointing to is that we're letting go of thinking and thoughts that are holding us down, and we're allowing ourselves to expand back into who we already are. And if going for a walk helps, then do that. If listening to music helps, then do that. But what I want to emphasize is that it's not the going for a walk that's making the change. It's not the listening to music that's making the change, because we've all had experiences where we think we want to listen to music to feel better. We listen to music and we don't feel any better.
Right. That was yesterday.
Well, why is that? Well, it's because it's not the music that's making us feel better.
I was so stuck like glue.
It's not the music that's making you feel better. What's making you feel better is you're giving yourself the space to let go of the thoughts that are holding you down.
Yeah.
Let them go.
Allow
them to just move away. All thought is transient. All thought is transient. All energy is transient. It's designed to move and shift. It becomes stagnant and impactful when we hold on to it.
Yes. Now, may I ask a question? Are you finished?
Of course.
Only because I don't want to interrupt.
Please, go for it.
Now, do you think it has to do with cultural, parts of us too? Like, I know that my background is of Italian descent, and I noticed that there's resistance in that whole ancestral line of lineage of the prior generation and generation. It must have been there before I even knew it. I mean, I don't know all the lineage, of course, but would you consider that as a portion of it, to get, to work on that ancestral portion of us, as well as
here's what I will say to answer that question. When you are in a place where your awareness expands into knowing that you are all that is, that you are connected with source, that you are a conduit of source, that you are source energy.
I truly believe that.
Everything heals. There's nothing you need to do.
I see.
Now, how does one get there? Well, that's for each of us to figure out. For some of us, it's working on our past lives. For some of us, it's working on our inner child. For some of us, it's ... fill in the blank, because we choose what we give importance to.
Yeah. Well, so, what I was, go ahead. No,
what is going to be most helpful for you is difficult for me to say. If you feel like it's important for you to resolve ancestral issues because that's something that resonates heavy with you, then do that. But what I'm going to invite you to recognize is that it's only a representation of what's really happening.
Yeah.
So what's really happening? Do you recognize what's really happening?
I really recognize what's happening is that I'm suspicious of the things around me. And
Nope. That's not where
can
I'm
I
going.
give you? No.
That's not where I'm going.
Oh,
So when you work on your ancestral issues, or when you work on a past life regression, when you
right.
work on your
I've
inner
never had
child, what are you actually doing?
that.
You're giving yourself permission to let go.
I see.
When I work with a therapist, I'm giving myself permission to let go of my past.
Mm-hmm.
When I work in past life regression, I'm getting information that's being revealed to me that allows me to connect more with who I am and to let go of the ideas that were holding me back before.
Yeah.
When I work with releasing the energies of my ancestors, I'm giving myself permission to no longer be attached with those energies.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm working with a guide to help me release a drama and trauma from my childhood, I'm giving myself permission to let go of it. So anything and everything that you do is giving yourself permission to let go of it and to no longer feel its perceptual attachment.
Right. And the
So,
energy that's with it, right?
again,
That's what you
that's your
all,
perception.
yeah.
The energy is with it because you're giving it meaning and importance. And now to your question, does society have something to do with it? Yes. Why? Because different societies are giving meaning to different things, and we learned that.
Yeah.
So I learned that in Latin America, this is meaning and this is importance. And so I grew up with that. And so I learned to give this meaning and that importance. And in the States, this is meaning and this is importance. And so I grew up thinking this is meaning, this is importance.
Right.
In Italy, same thing.
Right.
Different cultures believe different things. They give meaning and importance to different things. And so we innocently pick up those same limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Every belief is limiting in that sense because every belief creates a limitation around it.
Mm.
So is culture relevant to what we're learning? Absolutely. Is culture relevant to what we're releasing? Absolutely. But where is the strength of this conversation is to recognize, for me, it's to recognize that all of those things are just permission for me to let go of them and to no longer feel attached to it.
Right.
Now, what is more powerful? Let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Is it more powerful for you to believe and feel that you can work with a coach or a therapist or a guide to help you let go of things? Or is it more powerful for you to recognize that there's nothing that needs to be letting go of?
I have to recognize there's nothing to be letting go of, and that's more powerful.
Right.
Because I have everything at my hands and within. Because we
Right.
are all born with everything we need.
Right.
You know, spirit to provide.
And I agree with you. And so for me, when I feel inspired to work with one of my friends that, leads healing sessions, I'm doing it because I enjoy it. I'm doing it because I enjoy the process and the ceremony of discovery.
Right.
I go in
too.
I go in and say, I'm curious to see what's going to come up and how it's going to be released. But I know that it's nothing more than me giving myself permission to let it go.
Yeah. And
whatever model I use, whatever modality I use, ultimately isn't necessary.
Right.
Ultimately isn't necessary.
Right.
However,
the means you take,
the models and the modalities that we choose sometimes makes it easier for us to let go because there's a ceremony associated with it that we give importance to, and we say, oh, when I understand that, I can let this go.
Yeah.
And once I understand that, then I let it go.
Question. Is that
Absolutely
intellectualizing it though? Once I understand it, are we intellectualizing it then?
Well, that's what I'm proposing, that this is how we think. This is how we do things.
That's the mindset, right?
That's the mindset.
Yeah. But how about when we live from our heart, and because isn't there feedback now that the heart, I don't know what the term is, but it's more, there's more emphasis in the heart than there is from the brain. So if we live from our heart and live from that part, and the soul of us, isn't that an easier lifestyle? Or you know what it is? I don't have boundaries.
What do you mean you don't have boundaries?
I have some boundaries, but I have a sense of no boundary when it comes to helping others. It's like I need to be a little more encased in not selfishness, but preservation, because I would do anything and everything for anyone. But when it comes to me, I don't do that.
Okay.
So that's the kind of individual I am.
Okay. Two things.
So what would you say to that?
So there's two things that you've brought up, which I'd like to kind of talk to.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, one of the things that I always encourage people to focus on is what feels true to them.
Okay.
Not what other people say as good ideas. Everybody says that we should focus on our heart space.
Yeah.
Everybody says this, everybody says this, everybody says this. What I'm going to say is, what do you say? What feels right for you? I can tell you my own experience. I can tell you my own journey. I'm very intellectual. I'm very analytical. I've lived in my headspace my entire life. And yes, I am learning to be more aware of, quote unquote, the heart space and how the two can integrate well.
Yes, they do.
I don't want to live from my heart space. I want to live from both. That's what's relevant to me. That's what's powerful to me. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that through my own journey and my own process.
Yeah. Well, I've always lived through my heart because I've intuitively, empathic. I can take on, like, there's 4 types of empaths, and I think I have each one of them. But I've never taken the time to really get to the core of intellectual processes, because I went
Can I challenge you for a second?
Sure. Yeah. I don't read enough, investigate enough.
One of the first things that was brought to my attention when I started on this journey was learning to listen.
Yes. Major.
Learning to listen is not about how do I respond to this? What do I want to say? What's the next thing that I want to share? Learning to listen is listening.
Yes. With every sense. Plus,
there's a lot of intellect that you are using to analyze and respond and share and comment. And there's a lot of steps that you're, if you listen back to this recording, you can see the speed of your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
When I go into my heart space, my mind quiets down. It doesn't become more noisy. It becomes more quiet.
Yeah.
So there's room for you to recognize and play with that aspect of, are you really not in your head? Because there's a lot of thinking that I'm hearing.
Lately, I'm in my head all the time.
I'm hearing this, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
My mind's going here. It's
I'm
slow down, slow down.
I know.
Slow down.
I'm not always like that, but when I get like that, it's like an obsession with me. I can't stop it almost.
Right. So here's the trick. Ready?
Yes.
Right. Here's the trick that made a difference for me. When I started to learn to understand how my mind worked, my mind quieted down. When I started to recognize and understand that I was innocently misunderstanding how life worked, my mind quieted down. When I realized and recognized that, so here's a little metaphor that I'll share with you. As humans, we are designed for self-preservation. We are designed to protect ourselves. when I feel that my well-being comes from something outside of me, when I feel like my well-being is determined by something outside of me, it is going to be natural for me to create defenses around it. It is going to be natural for me to protect myself, to self-persevere, so that I am defending myself from those potential threats.
Yeah.
Because they're threatening my well-being.
I'm just beginning to do that, by speaking up. See, I was silent all my life.
Do me a favor.
Yes.
When thoughts pop in your head, acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Right now you're listening.
Yeah.
Right now you're listening. I'm inviting you to listen.
Okay.
Now, I'm happy to hear what you have to share. I'm not dismissing that.
No.
But there's a time and a place for both.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to point out to you is there is a pattern in what I've noticed in you in these last few minutes, that you're paying more attention to how to respond to what's being said than to what's being said.
Okay.
And it's not to belittle what it is that what you are saying, but there's an element where there's a lot of room for you to allow your mind to be more receptive, more quiet. And we all have thoughts that pop in our head. I mean, I'm hosting this and I have thoughts that pop in my head constantly about, well, they said this, I want to say this, and they said this, and I want to say that. And I consciously let it go. If it's important later, it'll come back. Right now, I'm just present to what's being said. Right now, I'm just listening to what's being said. Right now, I'm giving the energy of my focus to the person that's speaking, not to the person inside my head, because that's a different conversation altogether. If I give my energy to the person inside my head, the person that I'm listening to isn't really the person that I'm listening to. I'm listening to the person inside my head.
So I'm not in the moment.
Yeah. And so that's what distracts us from actually listening to what's being said. And the value and benefit of listening to what's being said is that there's something in what's being said that's going to resonate with you, and that you're going to go, ah, yes, there's something in that for me. If you're so busy responding to what's being said, you're not going to notice your little aha moment, because you're going to pile drive it. You're going to go right over it. Those little aha moments can be very subtle. Sometimes they're in your face and they scream out and say, boom, explosion. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't believe I didn't know that before. But many of them are really subtle. And because we are so noisy in our head, we miss them. We go right over them. So when we feel that something outside of ourselves is the cause of our well-being or impacts our well-being, we're going to defend ourselves from it. We have a natural ability to defend ourselves. If you are a threat to me, I'm going to defend myself from you. If I perceive you as a threat in any way, I'm going to defend myself from you. If your actions affect the quality of my mood, you are the cause of my mood, and I am going to create a lot of thinking around how to defend myself from you, how to prevent myself from having that experience again, because Camille made me feel bad. I don't want that to happen again. So I need to figure out, what do I say to Camille next time? What do I need to do here? What needs to happen here? What if someone else like Camille does that? Well, what if I do this? And what if I go here? And well, what if that happens here? And so you can see where I'm creating a lot of defenses. And there's a lot of noise in my head to protect myself from what Camille did to me. Now, here's the metaphor that made a huge difference for me. If you are in a room within a home or an office or a building, and that building is on fire, you would be foolish not to do something about it. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is your defense. This is your psychology. So be compassionate with yourself. When you find that something threatens your well-being, you would be foolish not to do something about it. So the next step of this metaphor, if there's a fire in this apartment, I'm going to jump out this window. I'm going to make sure my mom is okay. I'm going to grab water. I'm going to try and control the fire with the best of my ability, with the best of my knowledge that I have on how to fight fires. Or I'm going to try and put it out. I'm going to try and divert it. I'm going to try and slow it down while more help arrives that knows more about how to fix a fire than I do. But I would be foolish to just sit there and wait for the fire to completely consume me. Right?
Yeah.
So psychologically speaking, it's the same exact thing. As long as you feel that your well-being is dependent on your circumstances or somebody else, you would be foolish not to defend yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happened to me in my experience is when I realized that I am responsible for my well-being, that I am responsible for my state of mind, that I am responsible for managing my experience, and that only I can affect my ability to experience life, a lot of those fires went away. And my mind quieted down because I no longer had to defend myself against them. So when somebody doesn't call me back, I no longer go into the entourage of reasons as to why they didn't call me back and what that means about me and our relationship and what that could be or what that couldn't be, like I did 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I could easily spend a whole week thinking about, why didn't this person call me back? What does that mean about me? What does that mean about a relationship? Should I do something about it? Should I call them back? Should I not call them back? I mean, I lived in analysis. I lived in coming up with solutions and possibilities and better outcomes. And my mind settled when I realized that whether they call me back or don't call me back means nothing about me, and it means nothing about my state of being. So let me ask you this. Can you feel your energy now versus when we started the conversation?
Yeah.
Can you feel how much quieter your mind is?
Yes, absolutely.
So this is what the invitation is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I'm bringing this up and highlighting this. Because there's a different state that you are in now than when we were 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I recognize it immediately.
Yeah. And now when you
bring it up,
and now when you speak, you're speaking appropriately in the dialogue. Mm. Not to say that what you were sharing before wasn't appropriate, but it wasn't aligned with the dialogue. It was aligned with the dialogue you were having in your head.
Right.
Not the dialogue you and I were having. Mm-hmm. And so I absolutely honor the voice inside you. It is amazing, it's powerful, and it is very helpful, and it's a lot of fun to play with. Mm-hmm. And there's a time and a place for that. Mm-hmm. Is this helpful?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's helpful, but I still feel a little sense of defensiveness. Is that okay to say?
Of course.
Yeah, because I really never did speak up, and it's very still hard for me to say no. It's very still hard for me. These are little things, 2-letter word, and I can't say it a lot of times.
But here's the difference, ready?
Yes.
Saying what's on your mind and sharing everything that you're kind of thinking about doesn't mean that you're speaking up for yourself and standing up for yourself. They're two separate things.
Yeah. Okay.
They're two separate things. And so here's the other thing, ready? If sharing what's on your mind, so people a lot of times will talk about the pendulum. Go from one extreme to the other extreme to then find the middle. Sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we need to brain dump and share everything that I'm saying and everything that I'm thinking, because I need to learn how to speak for myself. And so I'm going to tell you everything that I need to say because I'm honoring what I'm saying and what I'm thinking. And I'm just going to tell you everything that comes to mind. It doesn't matter whether or not I think it's relevant or not relevant, because I want to share my truth with you. And this is what's happening. And this is what I'm sharing with you. And can you feel my energy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so there's an element where I might need to do that to then kind of find, that doesn't feel quite genuine to me. There's something that doesn't align there. There's a nicer balance. There's a richness that I can point myself towards. And maybe having that entourage of voice is what's going to allow you to get there. So I'm not trying to dissuade you from that experience, but I'm just inviting you to look at kind of a bigger picture.
Yes.
I absolutely want you to speak for yourself. I want nothing less than for you to honor the truth of who you are. There is a power that comes in recognizing your own voice. Absolutely recognize that. And I'll encourage that. When I was working with my coach, I was thinking, I want him to know what my response is to what he is saying so that he can better align what he's saying to where I'm coming from. Right?
Yeah.
His point of view, what he said to me, which didn't resonate with me at the time, I got very defensive, was, you don't know what I'm about to say, so let me say it. Mm-hmm. And then after I'm done speaking, then you can talk to me about what resonated or what didn't resonate. But while I'm speaking, it doesn't make sense for you to tell me that what I'm saying doesn't make sense, because you don't know what I'm about to say. And it was about a week later, I watched the video of someone, Sydney Banks, who first described the three principles, which I studied for years, which I talk about all the time. There was a guy that was talking about something that Sydney Banks always said to him, which was, listen without your old mind. Listen without your old thinking. And I realized in that instant that what I was doing with my coach was not listening without my old thinking. This is what's done to me in the past. This is what I've done in the past. This is what's happened to me. This is what I want to make sure that he understands. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, that's my old thought. That's all of my old thinking. That's all of the beliefs and ideas that I have from who I was and where I'm coming from. And all of a sudden I realized, listen without your old thoughts. Listen without your old thinking. Listen for something new. I know where I am. I know what I think. I know what I believe. Let me be open to the possibility that there's something that I don't know, and to listen for that. Listen for what I don't know, not what I already know. I already know that I have this. I already know that I think this. I already know that I believe this. So let me listen for what I don't know.
That's powerful.
Right? And so for me, part of learning to listen is also learning to recognize the voice in my head and not getting distracted by my inner conversation. Mm-hmm. When my mom is speaking and I say, my mom has this habit of, she doesn't actually listen to what I say. Mm-hmm. She's listening for her response. She's listening for her response. She's listening for, how is she going to respond to what I'm saying? And then she has this conversation inside of her about, this is what I'm going to say. And she'll actually interrupt me mid-sentence when it comes to her. And I'm like, Mom, I was literally in the middle of a sentence and all of a sudden you're telling me what you think, but you're not listening to what I'm saying because you're so focused on your response to what I'm saying that you completely speak over me. And my mom does it all the time. Bless her. Again, it's a pattern that she's holding on to, that she hasn't let go of. But that's the invitation for all of us in this conversation, is to listen for something new. Listen for what we don't know. Listen without all of the noise in our head. And people will talk about exercises and techniques of conscious listening and active listening. And to be honest with you, a lot of those exercises get in the way because they create more thinking around not thinking. There's an exercise for me to actively listen to you, and I'm focusing on that exercise. If I'm focusing on the exercise, I'm not listening to you. I'm not present to you. So what does listening mean to me? Listening means me being fully present to you and where you are. And in my case, in this relationship, in this conversation, part of that was stopping you from going down a path of thought that wasn't aligned with who you are and where you are. I was driven to stop you from a conversation because you were distracted by not the truth of who you are, but the thinking that you have about yourself, which are two separate things. Is that helpful?
Yes, very much so. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does this feel like a good place for us to stop? You and I?
Oh, me? Oh, well, I could share more, but it would be too involved. I think we're near a half hour. Maybe someone else wants to speak. I sort of monopolized the.
Are you comfortable if we stop here?
Surely.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Beautiful.
a lot to take in, actually.
Thank you for coming
Oh,
forward and having this
you.
conversation.
No, it was wonderful.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
So Bev is asking, how long have I been on my journey? It's interesting because somebody the other day made a comment about they started working on themselves, in their 20s. I have been on the path of improving myself since I was less than 10 years old. I have been on my path of self-discovery, self-understanding, of understanding who I am, what I am, how I work, how my psychology works, how psychology in general works, what I do, how I do it, why I do it. I've been on that path since I was in my early teens. So my journey is pretty much most of my life. I studied psychotherapy in my 20s. I studied hypnotherapy and NLP in my 30s. I studied the 3 principles in my 40s, and I'm kind of chunking them. It's not entirely true, but kind of in that area. And about in the beginning of COVID, I remembered that I started in hypnotherapy because I wanted to explore and play with past life regression. And so during COVID, I went back to that path. I went back to that interest, which I spent, more than 10 years being driven to explore different aspects of psychology, different aspects of the unconscious conscious relationship, different aspects of what drives us, what makes us tick, how we do what we do, eventually to come back to what put me on that path in the beginning, which was an interest in past life regression. And so that was the beginning of COVID to 2020. In my interest of exploring past life regression, having learned everything that I've learned in my then 49 years of life, I met Shannon Johnson and Ana Maria Vasquez, who are both speakers this season, and I talk about this all the time. They are channels. And so I saw what they did, and I became fascinated by what they did, and I wanted to do what they did. So I started learning, what can I do to learn how to channel? What can I do to see energy? What can I do to hear energy? What can I do to interact with energy? And so I came down this path of exploring my connection with spirit. So hopefully that answers your question as to how long I've been playing with this. You know, the last few years, a tremendous amount of growth and expansion as I've awakened to what I'm really passionate about, what really inspires me, aligning with it feels right for me to do this work, because I was in the corporate world for many years and this was more of a hobby for me. Now it feels like this is what I want to do, and I'm in a position where I don't want to go back to the corporate world. This is what I want to build. This is what I want to create. These are the conversations that I want to have. So hopefully that helps, Bev. So I'm aware of the time and I don't want to hold you guys too much. Thank you, Camille, for coming forward and having the conversation that we had. Hopefully you guys heard something in that was applicable to you as well in your own journey. A lot was shared, a lot was said, a lot came up that could be associated with different people's paths and different people's journeys. One of the things that I have been honoring in this platform is giving the space to the speakers and honoring and respecting their session as being their own. I've really been hesitant to promote myself during their sessions. And so I've really been quiet about promoting myself because I'm really there to kind of shine a light on them. I asked one of my friends for some guidance on something else. And one of the answers that she came back to me with was, I could promote myself more and talk about my membership more openly during during this platform. And so I've been doing that this season. So I've been saying it in other sessions, not all of them because the timing didn't feel right and it didn't come out naturally. But if you resonate with me, you like the way that I speak, you like the way that I describe things, and you want to continue working with me in between these seasons, I do have a membership where we get together and talk every single week about these kinds of subjects. Most of the sessions are designed around responding to questions that the members bring up. How did this happened? And I wanted to get your thoughts of this. I heard this and I didn't really quite understand it. What do you think about it? Somebody said something that feels right to me, but it doesn't quite resonate. Can you help me kind of figure out what's going on? And so then we talk about that. And, you know, I don't say that I am all knowing and that I'm gonna, you know, have answers to everything, but I'm happy to share my response to things and how I would word things. And if you tell me what other people say, I'm going to have an idea of what they're trying to say. And I'm not sure if that's what they're actually trying to say, but that's my idea of what they're trying to say. And then I will follow with, this is how I would word it. This is what I would share about it. And then we have a conversation about that. And so we kind of flesh that out and we do it collaboratively. You know, Cheryl's, you know, one of the members of my group, and she's saying, and those chats are amazing. Thank you, Cheryl. I really appreciate it. I really love the conversations. It challenges me too, because it makes me think about things differently. You know, how would I say things differently? What are they trying to say? What would I add to that? And when people that I'm talking to don't get what I'm trying to say, of course, it forces me to come up with a different way of trying to describe what it is that I'm trying to say. And so it's a lot of fun to be in those conversations. I'm also inviting speakers from the summit to be members of that community so that there's a collaboration between us within that community. And I still don't know how that's going to play out. But my idea and vision is for those of us that are sharing our experience with others to create sessions where we talk about the edges of our understanding, and we kind of explore with the community that aspect as well. Those that are interested in being light workers and or are light workers, again, part of this community is designed or will be designed around supporting each other, helping each other find our grounding, find our balance while we explore the edges of our understanding. You know, expose ourselves to people that have other experiences where we can learn from their experiences to find our own path and our own truth. And so this is all part of kind of the vision of this community. At the moment, we're doing one session a week, 1 p.m. Thursday Eastern time every week, and we talk about whatever comes up. I occasionally invite people to come and speak with us. And what I'm hoping to do is to maintain those weekly sessions and then have additional sessions where we expand our understanding with guest speakers. And so there's a lot of things that I have in mind. But so anyway, long story shorter, if you resonate with who I am and how I speak and how I share and how I communicate, and you want to continue playing with me and working with me, I would be honored if you came to join our community. In the Channeling Spirit Virtual Summit website, there's a link that says play in the menu bar. That will take you to a page that gives you a very brief description with a link to allow you to connect to the membership. CSVS.cc/play will also get you there. I love these conversations. I love sharing what I've learned in the hope that I can help people awaken to their own brilliance. I don't see myself as a teacher, though I love teaching, but I don't see myself as a teacher. I am a collaborator. I am a counterpart. I am a traveler. And I love sharing my experience in the hope that you can benefit from it and you can find your truth within it, or because of it, or as a result of it. But not because of what I said, but because of what you heard in what I said. Because that's where the beauty is of learning. The teacher isn't the person that's speaking to you. The teacher is yourself. The teacher is what you hear in what the others are saying. And so what I do is I expose myself to people that I respect and I admire and I value and are speaking a language that I resonate with, because I know that as I put myself in that situation, I'm going to wake up more. I'm going to remember more. I'm going to have insights, and they're going to inspire me to have those experiences. And so that's kind of the way that I work. If you're interested in doing a past life regression in between lives, if you want to meet your team, if you want to have a spirit journey, a metaphoric journey, and have your team share with you a message that's relevant for you today, my special invitation, quote unquote, is a lower price point for all of those experiences, or any of those experiences, than my normal rates. And I'm also doing a training program. So this is an invitation for anybody, if you know people that might be relevant for this. I am doing a training program to help people that are already facilitating spiritual regressions to take them to the next level, which again is inspired by one of the people that I work with who said, I want to learn to do what you do and how you do it. which to be honest with you took me by surprise, because I didn't realize that what I did was that different or that unique or that special. And so I've heard comments like that enough for me to say, okay, there's something that I'm doing that's different, that's worth putting together a program where I will talk about what I do and how I do it, and why I do it and how I connect with spirit and the relationship that I have with spirit during these sessions, and the relationship that I build with the people I work with to make it easier for them to have powerful, meaningful experiences. And so this is all happening, and the course is starting June 3rd. And again, for people that are associated with this program or are referred to by people in this program, there's a discounted value exchange link for that as well. So if this resonates with you, or if you know anybody that plays in the space that might be interested, please share this information with them, have them reach out to me if you want. I will leave you guys for now. Thank you all for being here. I'm honored that you guys are here with me in this journey, both those of you that are live and those of you that are listening. I do this for selfish reasons because I love it, but I also do it in the hope that you guys will hear something that will awaken something in you. And that's really meaningful to me. It's humbling, and there's a lot of gratitude in the work that I do. Very appreciative of the honor that you guys bestow on me to be in this relationship with you in this way. So having said that, thank you guys all for being here. Next session is with Samuel Thomas Holland, who's been with us in the past. He's one of my practice friends. Always interesting to see who comes through. He channels most of the sessions, so it'll be interesting to see who comes through. And I will leave you guys until then, top of the hour, with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye. Thank you for being part of this incredible experience. We hope that this session has inspired a new level of understanding within you, allowing you to expand more easily into the essence of your true self and become an even more powerful alchemist in your own life. We invite you to listen to the session again and again in order to go deeper each time and expand even more. Have it be via the replays or the unlimited access package. If you have enjoyed being part of this event, we invite you to tell your friends so that they can join us in the future. We are grateful that you are here, and we thank you for co-creating this experience with us. Until next time, we leave you with being spirit, being human, and simply being from love.